call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have no changes that I see. Council have any? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the June 6, 2018 regular meeting. You received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, clarification? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 6, 2018 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, a second.
Second.
Second by Dave. Any last concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings, which now brings us to reports and presentations. SRF Consulting on the comprehensive plan.
All right, well, good evening, council members.
Can you grab the mic and use that, please? That way that people in the,
Okay.
on TV can.
We are on. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I think I've met most of you, but again, just to reintroduce myself, I'm David Sweeney with SRF Consulting. It's good to be back here. Scott Hermset couldn't make it tonight, but I think he deserved a day off, so. So just a quick presentation. Before we go into that, I just wanted to thank the planning staff, Vicki and Sarah and the task force for all of their help with this project. It's been a really fun project, and they've been instrumental in bringing it to the point we're at tonight. So we've talked about a lot of this stuff before, but why has this process been important for the city? It's helped us set a clear vision for the future. It provides the blueprint for how to achieve the vision. And I think probably most importantly, it's given us an opportunity to gauge public opinion and to arrive at some consensus on some issues that are affecting the city. So one aspect of the public involvement, that public opinion that I mentioned, is the public survey. This was open for, I think, about a year, and we got over 400 responses. You can see 433 responses, which is about 10% of the population. That's far and away the highest level of involvement for any project that I've ever worked on. There were 48 questions on 8 topics. You guys can all read, but just to summarize again quickly, there were some general questions. We talked about housing. We addressed the transportation systems and the roadway network, parks and recreational facilities, economic development in the downtown, public utilities, zoning, and some simple demographic questions. So this graphic, again, you've seen it before, just describes the future land use plan and its relationship to zoning. So just a quick recap. When we started this project, we started out doing our best to identify the existing land use in Sauk Center. And then we did a growth analysis. We looked at all of the potential areas for growth and redevelopment in the city and some areas outside of the city. And then we developed 2 alternative future land use plans that addressed all of the land in those growth and redevelopment areas. And those were eventually refined into one preferred alternative land use plan. And then you can see On the right, we've progressed to future land use, but again, this is not zoning. This is laying the blueprint for zoning. It is not itself zoning. It's providing guidance for future zoning changes and other development decisions.
Excuse me, that master plan, can you show us approximately where we are right now? Is that a?
So this is, what I would focus on is the middle image, the future land use. That's what the future land use map that we have over here, I mean, I guess you could call it a master plan, but that's the future land use plan that we've arrived at for the city. A master plan is typically more of like a site-specific plan, like for a PUD or something like that. We don't get into that level of detail in the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Obviously, because it's comprehensive, we have a higher level.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, we looked at these growth areas and redevelopment areas. We numbered in the plan and then referred to them throughout the plan. 2 primary redevelopment areas, the former golf course and the fairgrounds, and then those 8 growth areas. And then the other areas that are highlighted on this map are the orange area, kind of the downtown core, the green area, which we see as a recreational opportunity and opportunity to build upon the natural amenities that are there. And then we've also just highlighted some of the vacant parcels and other opportunity underdeveloped sites in the city. So again, I talked about the existing land use map. That's on the left. And we moved from that to the future land use map on the right. And that map also has a conceptual road system overlaid on it. You can kind of see at the bottom there, it's peeking out. It's hard to tell from the picture. But there are some conceptual roadways. We have a conceptual trail alignment. And then we progressed in the roadways and utilities chapter to laying out some conceptual utilities, potential locations for lift stations, things like that. So it's all built upon the future land use plan. One of the primary elements of the plan was this quality of life chapter, which addressed active transportation and healthy living, and kind of nestled within that is this idea about revitalizing downtown so that it's it's promoting those concepts and that vision that the city has. So the plan recommends streetscaping improvements for about 4 blocks on Main Street and a couple of blocks on Sinclair Lewis Avenue. And then we also talked about enhancing the alleyways, especially during the reconstruction of Main Street, using that as an opportunity to keep the businesses going, keep that vibrancy going, and build upon the amenities that we have. The graphic on the left just also points out the possibility of making some gateway improvements at the north end of town near the Sinclair Lewis Park, and then at the south end of town near the Lake Wobegon Trail. And the document notes the opportunities to improve connections from the trail there so that it's a smoother connection into town and to Main Street. Another thing that we looked at for this plan was how to use the amount of right-of-way, how to use the space that we have on Main Street. Are we using it efficiently, or could we be using it better? So this first graphic, we've used this at a couple of presentations now, but this is just a pretty simple model of how the right-of-way is distributed right now. There are 2 12-foot travel lanes roughly and 2 12-foot parking lanes, and then about a 10-foot sidewalk. And I think we achieved a pretty general consensus that those parking lanes are pretty wide. They don't necessarily have to be that wide. The travel lanes too could potentially be narrowed. And if that were to happen, we could get an extra 3 to 5 feet of space on both sides to extend the sidewalk. So this just shows, a simple modification where during the reconstruction, we would narrow those lanes. We'd narrow the parking lanes to 10 feet, narrow the drive lanes if we wanted to, and then we can extend the sidewalk width. So then that allows us to relocate and reinstall the lighting and have more space freed up for pedestrians, for streetscaping, things like that. So the plan is essentially 4 main chapters. There's the land use chapter, the quality of life chapter, which I mentioned. There's a chapter on roadways and utilities, and then goals and objectives. There's also an appendix included that's called the community profile, and that kind of tees up the plan and describes a lot of the demographics, the physical characteristics of Sauk Center, talks about the population modeling that we did, those types of things. And then the final chapter, the implementation chapter, just kind of brings everything all together. We looked at 5 different areas of implementation: general items, city ordinances, downtown, items relating to downtown, the transportation system, and active living. And for each element, we created a series of implementation tables, and then we reviewed them with the planning staff, and then also with the public, and we were able to begin prioritizing those elements for completion in the short term and the long term. So this is just an example of the table. It says place dots here. We had that up in this room, and the public helped us prioritize different items for completion. So coming out of that, the top 5 priorities that were listed with the help from the public were, in general, to develop a plan for the removal and replacement of unhealthy trees within the city. There were a lot of things related to ordinances, but applying the zoning flood districts to the sitting zoning map is one that rose to the top, and that's a pretty easy item to take care of. Roadways and utilities, maintaining an up-to-date capital improvements plan to budget for large projects. Again, already doing that, but carrying it forward. Downtown, continuing to coordinate with MnDOT to ensure the reconstruction of Main Street proceeds as scheduled and reflects the local needs and desires documented in the comprehensive plan. And I think at this point, it's still pretty general, but like I said, we did arrive at that consensus that we think, we want to improve the pedestrian facilities on Main Street as much as possible during the reconstruction, and simply narrowing those parking lanes a little bit, narrowing the travel lanes a little bit would enable us to do that. And then active living, continuing to pursue safe routes to school and related program funding. So this, like I said, is just a larger example of that implementation table. So the plan goes through and identifies line by line these different items, and then it breaks down different actions that could be taken in the short term versus the long term, and it identifies the responsible agencies, whether that's city staff or a local nonprofit or MnDOT or whatever. Often it's coordination between a few agencies, and then whether new staff training or a private consultant would be required. No, potentially yes. And again, that kind of gets at the time commitment and the financing commitment that some of these items would take, and that was taken into consideration when we were prioritizing them. So with that, the plan is currently on the city website. There might still be some minor tweaks to make, but I'm available to do that. Other than that, that's pretty much a wrap. So are there any questions for me?
Questions? Concerns?
I'm just wondering, are we for sure that have we been contacted by MnDOT that 2024 is definitely the period when they're going to be?
Still in the plan, but they won't start anything for 5 years prior.
Okay. And,
That's when their kind of commitment happens.
okay. And then when do we express this plan to them? Is that at the same time then, or?
In the pre-meetings.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Police Department monthly report. Police Sergeant, not Chief.
All right, I got the May stats. If you look, it's probably one of our busiest months we've had in several years, over 1,000 ICRs, so over 1,000 reports made. Some of the higher numbers we had this year, or this month, 11 alarm calls, 28 So 29 personal assist calls, 44 assist businesses. We assisted just about 30, other agencies about 30 times. A lot of citizen contacts. Big jump this month, or in May, was for dog complaints, ranging from loose dogs to barking, dogs at large, just people not getting along with their neighbors regarding their dogs. So a lot of dog stuff going on. A few people were arrested for felony warrants. There are 14 ICRs for the liquor license when they renewed. So Melissa did all the backgrounds on that. So there's 14 of those ICRs for that. 16 medicals, 5 vehicle accidents again, a handful of people with driving without licenses, and then 28 different suspicious persons calls, vehicles, then 5 verbal disputes, and then 25 welfare checks. So there's been a bunch of, just busy. It's starting to warm up, so we're kind of expected, but a little bit higher numbers than usual. Our new part-timer, Brian Thorstead, he completed his field training program as of the 16th of June, so he's good to go. Other issues we've been seeing, we're dealing with the splash pad issues, and I'm sure you guys have heard about that with some of the, we've been in there every night picking up and trying to get those toys picked up and stuff, but all the toys are gone, so we won't be picking those up anymore, I'm guessing. But a lot of our time's been spent hanging out down at the parks and trying to stay ahead of that. Any questions for us on our end?
I just had one. I noticed under the assists, I seen you had an assist for the Avon Police Department. That wasn't us responding to Avon.
No, that was us probably making contact. Like, there's one for White Park too. Most of those are Avon calls us and says, hey, can you stop at so-and-so's house and
Okay.
make contact for us?
Okay, it isn't actually.
No, we're not going to Avon or White Park. Most of those are, picking up surveillance video maybe, or going to their place. I mean, the only assist agency we would actually go is Melrose, like usual.
Okay.
They'll come here to
Yeah,
us.
Melrose. I
Yeah,
can
Melrose
see
and
that.
Stearns and State Patrol outside. But no, we aren't going to White Park or Avon or something. That's just more likely we're doing something in town for them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
New schedule and everything's working out good now that we got more staff.
Yep, new schedule. The summer schedule's working out. So the nice thing is with the new schedule, we got double coverage on our weekends, basically from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 4 in the morning. So now we got that double coverage. We're really lacking in the summer. On weekends, we got that. So new schedule's working good.
That might be part of the increase in ICRs too.
Yeah, so we got more cars working. So the nice thing is, in the past, if one person was going down to jail, that could be the only guy working. Now we got someone in town still doing proactive stuff. We got someone going to St. Cloud, or one person's taking a call, we still got one person doing proactive stuff. So that's definitely helping for the increase. And a lot of the increases too is we just been making sure we're getting out of the car more too, especially in the summer at the park. You see someone walking in the park, or you see someone on the trail, we're generating a call for that, saying so-and-so was out at 2 in the morning and a little bit on the trail, in case you have any issues down the road. We just document it, citizen contact.
Yeah.
And you'll see we have a bunch of citizen contacts.
Yep, a lot of 50, I think it was.
Yeah, so, we just, every time we get out with somebody, we'll document it. It's for stuff like that. So,
Good. Any other questions?
No,
Thank you.
thanks, guys.
thank you.
Planning Commission report, Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of the Planning Commission agenda from the June 12th meeting, and we had a public hearing in regards to the comprehensive plan, and that is also an action item later on your agenda. And then part of the packet is the May building permit report. And this year in May, we had $136,000 worth of total construction value. And last year in May, we had $351,000 worth of new construction value for the city.
You mean, Sarah, sorry, I apologize. You said 136,000, you mean 1,365,000?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, $1,365,000, thank you. That is a big difference. Thanks, Heidi. So are there any questions about the building permits?
Questions? Comments? Was there anybody here for the public hearing for the comprehensive plan?
Just staff. And then
Okay.
Scott from SRF was here for that
Okay.
public hearing.
We will be having a public hearing, though, next month regarding garage sales. I just
Yes.
wanted to mention that.
Yes.
All right. No other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6D, Public Works Department report. Matt?
Gonna just bring you up to speed on some of the projects we've been doing over the spring here. So we constructed and installed the fishing pier, which came from Heritage Legacy Funds, which is partial funding from state sales tax. So we got that all in place. The splash pad startup, season 3, full season, so it's the 3rd season. It actually went pretty decent this year. We had some troubles with the UV leaking, but we've got that all working now, so everything's operational. Passed the inspection with the county, with Jane. We purchased the John Deere 4066, so that's all complete. That's that compact tractor you probably see it going on the Land Pride and stuff, so that's all done. We repainted the fountain. There was always some questions about when that statue was going back up, but we repainted the pool. And some of that delay is it could not have any temperatures below 50 degrees at night, so it was kind of part of the wait. But that's complete. Street patching and sweeping is finished up, and this week now we started striping crosswalks. So I would hope by mid to next week we'll be done with that. And then currently, so we got crack sealing completed with Midwest Asphalt from Belgrade. That's completed. And then tomorrow, Aztec's doing seal coating. So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, all of our seal coating projects will be done too. So we'll have that wrapped up. The rock's all in town. I did see tonight that, because we're kind of doing some work with the county at the same time, so they used our yard for stockpiling, and they were loading out tonight, so I anticipate that to be on time. Some of the achievements we've accomplished is ice time agreements. So last year was the first year in a 5-year commitment with the high school, and just recently we did a 1-year agreement with the Hockey Association, and then now they've signed a 4-year agreement. So they're both on the same timeline. So in 4 years from now, you'll be talking about that again and renegotiating, but you got consistent, no discussion for 4 years essentially. Some of the unfinished stuff is our shop yard. So the building is gone. So what's left is for us to prep the yard and shape it and get the drainage correct. And then we'll contact Mark Lee, who's got the bid, to come view the site, see if he's got any changes that he wants done, and then we'll finish that up. And then he'll pave that. My guess is probably end of July, somewhere in there. But the nitty-gritty's done with the removals and stuff. We got 1 water heater to replace in the arena. Last fall there's 2. Last fall we did 1. Then this late winter, the other one failed. So we made it to the end of the season, so that's purchased, should be coming, and then we'll install that. Then another project is the Lincoln Loop storm sewer. So there's a hole in the street in Lincoln Loop, so that pipe's ordered, and contractors lined up to finish that when the pipe shows up. But so and they're kind of experiencing it with our project up on the north end too. There's a backlog, you might say, for manholes and pipe. So there's a lot of projects going on or something that's making the delay. So we're waiting for pipe to complete it. Other than that, I got my resignation, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity, what you've given me, because the last 3 years have been really good, and it's helped me get to where I'm going. So,
Good.
thanks.
Thank
Just
you.
one
Any
quick
questions?
question.
Oh, yeah.
A couple people at the Lake Association were asking about a
Oh.
public dock.
I'm sorry about that.
Yep.
That has always been a talk that Vicki and I have been having ever since we redid kind of looking at the docks at the campground, and when we put in the new boarding dock, that there really needs to be a public mooring area.
it's a necessity, and it would help the chamber and the downtown area, just because Sauk Lake tends to be a very touring lake, you know how long it is. So it's an access to your town. So it's critical, in my opinion, that you look into that and pursue that. That was the intent when we kind of got in a little bit of trouble with the other issue, yeah. But when we pulled out the old dock and reinstalled it in that spot, because it's not in the campground, it's in a public use area, it's not in a site, so you're not impacting anybody. So that's kind of an area where you could look at putting like 6 mooring sites, and then the campground could use it, and the city can use it, and the lake can use it. It would be multi-purpose. It's important.
You should stick around then to make sure
To
that.
see that,
Absolutely.
maybe I'll get on the Lake Association or something. Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Action items, 7A, approve resolution 2018-54, adopting comprehensive plan.
So this is the final action that you would be taking for the comprehensive plan. If you feel that the plan is complete, if you've had a chance of what you've read and in the presentation tonight, then you should adopt the resolution that is presented to you that will formally adopts the plan. If there's something you want to change, if something you're not comfortable with, if you had an adequate time to be ready to make a decision, you can certainly not take action tonight. But I think with all the opportunities that we've had to participate, we believe that it is ready for adoption. So I have included in your packet Resolution 2018-54, adopting the comprehensive plan. Does anybody have any more questions about going forward?
Questions, comments? I think it's been a long process, but we came to the end of where we wanted it to be. And give us some guidance and maybe some clout with MnDOT when we get to the Highway 71 process.
Yep.
So, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2018-54, adopting the comprehensive plan?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other comments, concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2018-55, requesting participation in credit enhancement program.
So in the next couple of months, we'll be working through the process of selling bonds for the payment of the costs of the project, both the North End project and the Getty Street project. And the state offers through the PFA a credit enhancement program, and we have utilized that before. And we would apply to the state through the PFA for this enhancement program, and what it really does is it kind of buys up your credit rating. We have a bond rating, not a credit rating. We have a bond rating. Right now, we're a AA- bond rating, and we would be able to buy that up to a AA+ rating, and a AA+ rating is going to get you lower interest rates. And so the cost of applying for this credit enhancement program is $500. In the past, when we have applied for it, we were accepted. So I think it's a good risk for us to take, because when we're borrowing over $3 million, the interest adds up quite quickly, and if we can get about 0.5% less or something like that, it'll make a big difference. So what we're looking for tonight is to approve the resolution 2018-55, authorizing the application for credit enhancement. Then we would submit that application, and then they would get working on that. At the next council meeting, which would be in July, we'll be here talking more about the bond process and what activities you need to take to prepare us for selling those bonds, which will probably then happen in August, and maybe we'd have funding like in September. So that's kind of our time frame right now. And in the meantime, we'll be paying the bills out of existing funds and reimbursing ourselves for those costs. So what this is tonight is we're not borrowing the money tonight. All you're doing is authorizing us to apply for the credit enhancement program.
Questions, comments? I think for $500, it's our duty to at least see if we
Yep.
can't
Yeah.
get
Good
the interest
investment.
rate
Yep.
lowered, so. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-55, authorizing application to credit enhancement program?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, None against. 7C, approve pay request number 3, Molitor Excavating for Kate's Estate project.
This is kind of the wrap-up for the Kate's Estates project. They were in, Molitors were in, I guess, well, their sub was in, and they did the final lift of the paving on the Kate's Estates project. So the value completed to date is $146,084.26. We do have a 1% retainage on that yet. And so we had paid previously $122,462.37, meaning an amount due with this request of $22,161.05. So that is what we're asking for you tonight, is to approve that pay request number 3 for $22,161.05. And then after all the paperwork, after everything is done, everything is filed, and then that retainage can get released after that. So that is, that $22,000 pay request is what we're looking for approval for tonight.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 3 for $22,161.05 to
So
Molitor Excavating?
Sorry, so moved.
That's fine. Heidi?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve pay request number 1, Brightbach Construction for North End project.
And as you just said, this is the first pay request for the North project for the contractor. We've been paying the engineer all along, but this is the first contractor payment on our contract. So far, the value completed to date as of this pay request was $177,955.20. We will retain 5% of that. So what we're looking to pay them out tonight is $169,057.44. And so that is pay request number 1 to Brightbach Construction.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 1 to Brightbach Construction of $169,057.44?
So moved.
Motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2018-56 approving lot split.
Okay, we have received the application from David Eek for a minor subdivision, which is a lot split for Lot 1, Block 1 of Sauk Center Industrial Park. This is located at 414 Lincoln Loop. The certificate of survey has been provided. All property pins have been located or set. And the proposal does include a shared driveway with easements, and those easements are included in the legal description. The property is zoned industrial commercial and meets all zoning criteria. The intent of the sale is to allow the development of one side with financing and then the eventual sale of the other side. And the reason for the location of the driveway where it was rather than dead center on the lot has to do with drainage and the storm drainage running down the curb line. So otherwise it would end up running into the property. So that is why the driveway is set like it is, and then we allowed the shared easement. And so because our zoning ordinance allows it to come straight to city council when it meets all zoning criteria and no special considerations are being given, we brought it straight to you, and it is resolution 2018-56, which approves that minor subdivision.
Questions? Concerns?
Only a little concern, I guess, so the driveway is going to be shared with the other lot?
Yes. You'll see that little square there that's 60 by 70.
Yep, that's the easement for it?
That's the easement
Okay.
for it.
Yeah, my concern was, or question was, why buy all that property just to split off a chunk and sell it?
Well, it was like, the two of them bought it together,
Okay,
but they each want to use their own half individually. So then they ended up saying, well, if they just split it, then they would each have control of their side.
okay. Any other questions, comments? We have a motion to approve resolution 2018-56 approving minor subdivision.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other last minute questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, approve resolution 2018-57 authorizing ballot question.
So in 2016, the city council authorized a ballot question which would, on the November of 2016 ballot, that asked the voting public if the city council should impose a local option sales tax of 0.5% with revenues used to fund infrastructure projects, which would have been Trunk Highway 71. The ballot question failed by 150 votes. And so the option of including that question on the 2018 ballot, that time frame is now here. So if you wish to include the question on the ballot, you should approve the attached resolution indicating our intent. Then we would work with the company to get it on the ballot. If it passes at the ballot level, then we request the legislature to include it in a bill. And if it passes in the bill, then we pass the ordinance imposing it. So there's many steps to happen. So this is the first step. Authorize it to go on the ballot, and then it goes out to the voting public. So what we are looking for tonight is just the resolution 2018-57, authorizing it to go on the ballot, and then we would work with the county to get the language on there. And if your intent is to have it on the ballot next year. I mean, I know that when we did it in 2016, you said, well, we should look at that again in 18 simply because Highway 71 is still moving along and we're still going to need to fund that infrastructure.
Right.
So,
Questions, comments? This is one of those things that, I was in favor of doing it 2 years ago, and I think we need to look at it, if we can help reduce possible assessments or even raising taxes to cover our share of the cost by having people that come to Sauk Center from outside the city limits help pay for they're driving on the road just as much as the people inside, have them help pay for it by doing this. I would think it's just a benefit for the city. And we always have to work a little better on the education part because there's a lot of people that didn't understand it from what I understand. So,
Yeah, this is very important that this is on the ballot. And,
right.
because it's gonna cost a lot to fix Highway 71 going through town, and any bit of help we get is gonna help.
And I think it needs to be clear that the city's gonna get that bill. Our choice is to pay it on property taxes exclusively by city residents, or to get it paid through the sales tax, which means the city residents will pay it, but also everybody else who comes in and does business and takes the roads.
And one of the things is there's a lot of big towns around us that already have this, so you're paying it to them without even knowing it, and you don't live there. So
I think the last year and a half has given time for business owners as well as residents to understand truly how this would impact them.
Right.
Where maybe that, like you said, that education option, that wasn't fully there at the last vote, but yeah.
okay. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-57 authorizing the ballot question?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dave. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Accept resignation.
So Matt alluded to this during his little staff report earlier, but he has submitted his resignation letter to the city. I did include a copy of it in your packet for your information. I mean, I tried to offer him more money, but so we really do hate to see him go, but we certainly understand his desire to kind of move up, and this is an opportunity that he felt he couldn't pass up. So I don't want to recommend that we accept the letter of resignation, but I think for his benefit, you probably should, and we'll move on.
And if we don't accept it,
Well,
I
it's
think
not gonna
he's
make
going to
much
leave
difference.
anyway.
It's to stay.
Do I have a motion to accept Matt's letter of resignation?
I will reluctantly make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Keith, second by Diane. I want to thank Matt for everything you've done. Been a learning experience for all of us. We were always had other people that have been here for years and years and took care of it, so we learned the ropes probably as a council as much as you, so. Do I have, call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, and again. 7H, approve utilization of independent contractor for cleaning services for library.
Our city employee, June Messer, she cleans the library 2 times a week. She's going to be out for medical reasons from July to September. In the interim, it's recommended that we utilize the temporary services of Stephanie Lugrain as an independent contractor. She is a custodian at Sauk Center Public Schools, but she also has a cleaning business on the side. So she has the insurance and those kinds of things that you would want in an independent contractor. And so I did provide for you the agreement for cleaning services. This is a very generic agreement that we have used before. And it just basically says, you know, you're an independent contractor, you can clean not to exceed 6 hours a week. It sets out the rate, the start date, the end date. She's responsible for her own insurance, her workers' compensation, and those types of things. And so this is who June is recommending. She works with her at the school, and she's very. I met her and talked to her, and she's very anxious to do this. So it would be my recommendation that we enter into this agreement with her. And at the time I typed this, I didn't know the rate, but her cleaning rate is $20 an hour.
Okay, questions?
What are we currently paying?
Our other agreement for cleaning services is with Sally, and she, I think, is $23 an hour.
Okay, so this is in line with that?
That's a little bit less.
And this is a temporary?
Yeah, because June will be coming back to work. She's just going to be out for medical reasons, so this is an agreement until like the end of September. Like say July 1st to October 1st, that's kind of our window.
And that's spelled out in the contract?
Yes.
Okay.
It has a start date and a completion date.
Right. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve utilization of Stephanie Lugrain as a independent contractor for temporary cleaning services at the Sauk Center Library?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, Red Schoolhouse.
So this is the continuation of the report from the June 6th meeting, which is in italics. That was the staff report from them from then, which you had tabled. So now it comes back off it's still here for you to either put back on the table to a certain date or act on it. You had the workshop, which was why this was tabled until you could have the workshop. So now you've had the workshop. And based on that meeting, there was some talk about setting a date, having a future date, how you wanted to handle this, but I wanted to have it on the agenda tonight so that you can either table it again to a future date or take action on it, whatever your recommendation will be, I guess, is what we want to do. But I don't want to just have to every 2 weeks put it back on the agenda again, because that's kind of what a tabled thing does unless it has something attached to it.
Comments?
Well, we went out. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just wondering, is there anything that would dictate, or not dictate, but tell us to do this prior to the beginning of next year?
You could. I mean, you could say, yeah, I want to table action, but we want some kind of action by a certain date, and then I would bring it back at that date in the future. Is that what you're asking, or what do you?
I was just asking if there's any reason why we should consider this prior to January.
Probably the reason that would want you to have action is if we had a purchase agreement, I guess. Otherwise, there's really
And
no hurry.
Of which we currently don't.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Well, we went out, we looked at the site, we saw how big it is. I think it was obvious that it would, significantly obstruct the views and take out several of the large trees in the area.
Right.
Especially on one end of the park. If
Yep.
we went to the other end, yeah.
And
Sorry, my personal my personal feeling, because of those who've been involved either on this side of the table or on the other, is that it would be beneficial to put this to bed and have an earlier rather than later decision. So vetting those other two locations, I think, would be necessary to rule out 100% the front of the park. And if we can get that accomplished before a certain date, my personal preference, I don't know if we can include that in a motion tonight, would be, I would think by Labor Day, there shouldn't be any reason why not to.
Well, I'm inclined to just say that the park doesn't even stay on the board. We saw what it looks
Right.
like. It doesn't belong there. On the other hand, a date, if we're talking to the Fair Board, we can't artificially set a date on them. They're going to work at their own rate. So
But
I'm
that
all
doesn't
for
mean that it's-
pursuing it, but I don't think we can say we're going to do this by Labor Day
We
if
can
we
have a
rely on them.
decision, but not necessarily have to move it by then. And that's
Well,
what I'm
but I don't know
saying.
that we can even have a decision if the park doesn't, if the fairgrounds doesn't get back to us until after that. Well, obviously, we can't make that decision either. Yeah, anything we do is going to be contingent on other people.
One of the-
Understood.
And, well, point, because the Fair Board right now, to talk to them when they're
They're
getting ready
busy.
for the fair.
Yeah.
They're gonna put it off until at least August. And I don't know how much work after the fair that they have in their meetings to do. And
Yeah,
I
wrap
considered
up some.
that, I know I'd even agreed with Heidi on that by Labor Day should easily be done. But considering we're working with a board that's gonna be under the gun for the next 6 to 8 weeks, as far as we're taking care of there, maybe we need to move it back till October. That gives them another month. Because they're already starting to work on next year's plans.
Or even January.
Well, we
Yeah.
can ask for them to work on it, and we can certainly set a date for us to get that information to the fairgrounds and request action.
Yep.
And one of the things that I noticed at that workshop meeting when we were all sitting here in this room is, there basically was 3 locations. J.C. Park, Fairgrounds, and the front of the park. We went down and looked at the park, but I didn't hear an overwhelming absolutely not on the other 2 locations coming from anybody, but I heard probably 2/3 of the people say, if the park isn't an option, that isn't gonna break our heart either.
Right.
And I think all 5 of us were there, and I think hopefully we all heard the same thing, but to me, that we had a lot of people saying, if it's not the park, we're not gonna fight you on putting it someplace else because you have your reasons to
Yep.
do it. And,
I think what we need to do, Mayor, is we need to know where in J.C. Park or where in the fairgrounds that we would want to put it.
I think giving the due process to the other 2 locations as we did with the front of the park is,
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
already in process.
right,
Yeah.
So the action tonight is not where it's going to go.
right.
right,
What was tabled was whether it was going to go in that location,
right.
so.
So,
Yeah.
Do you want
and
a motion?
I will make a motion that we just stop considering Sinclair Lewis Park, that we take that off the table and just concentrate on the other 2.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion by Dave, we have a second by Diane, to remove Sinclair Lewis Park for the relocation of the Little Red Schoolhouse from consideration. Any other comments, concerns? And I think the process is working on the other 2,
Yeah.
but we can do it faster than wait, it's not gonna drop off, so. Any other comments? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 against, no abstentions. Dog park update.
Oh, I forgot to give you your maps.
Yes, thank you.
So Carol Griffiths has been working quite a bit on the dog park. Remember, she came here and you guys thought that would be a good location down across from the Public Works garage. And so she did provide me kind of a sketch of how it would look, and then the attached information is things that you've seen before, about kinds of costs and different places that she's checked and everything. And then she did go get estimates, very detailed estimates of material costs and then other extra costs on how much it would be. So I think the material costs were about $6,000, and then there was additional costs if she was going to be renting equipment or everything. So, you know, she's kind of to the point now where she's like, do you think that I can start my fundraising campaign with this or not? And so that's kind of what she's asking tonight. She says, do you think that we'll be able to be ready to move forward? I mean, there's things, physical things like tree trimming and things that have to happen before anything physical could begin, but she wants to start her fundraising campaign. And so she's kind of looking direction from the council at this point. You know, do you feel that we're at a point where she can do that?
I don't have a problem with the location.
No.
No.
And I think if she can come up with the money to get it completed, that would be the way to go. But what's the council's wishes?
I
No,
agree.
I think it's a great idea. It's kind of a problem. Kind of glad to see someone's looking at.
Okay, general consensus then
Yep.
that
Yep.
it's okay for her to?
That's fine.
Keep going, yeah.
Okay. 8C, capital improvement project updates. That must be Chuck.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. For the 2018 project, if you were to look at how much was completed based on dollar value, or I'd say right around 5%. So a lot of work left to do up there. Just kind of give you a rundown on each utilities. They have some storm sewer installed on 4th Street from Lake to Elm Street. Some sanitary installed on the 4th Street and Main Street intersections all the way up to 5th Street. They have some water installed in that same intersection, and they stubbed out each way to get out of the intersection on 4th and Main Street. And then, as you know, that was paved today. So they're hoping to take the detour down on Friday, and then traffic will be opened up both ways, north and south, which is actually 1 week ahead of the schedule, what we had for plans. So we're very happy with the progress. So, and then just kind of update on hospital access. We're going to kind of switch them from their current plan to 4th Street next week, and then starting next week till any further change for about a week and a half while they're working on Main Street, maybe 2 weeks there, and then it'll probably change again. But and maybe one little item, concrete manholes, just they kind of continue to be a small delay in the project. They're having a hard time making them at the Hancock plant, so their contractors kind of bouncing around a little bit between the sanitary and water, but still making good progress.
Okay.
I just have a comment, and I'm only voicing it because it was visibly noticed, but my husband saw somebody going north on that southbound access. Has that been happening frequently, or was that, could I say that was just a one-time incident?
Unfortunately, it did happen a few frequently. There's really, I think the detour signage is well, made well aware on the route. There's just a few people that might get confused and try to sneak around, and luckily there's no accidents I'm aware of. So I know there's been some tickets written, so they might see an uptick in the police's report next month or next council meeting. But so.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? So far, so good then.
Yeah, I think they're making really good progress.
Getty Street starts next week?
Getty Street does start next week. They'll start with the reclamation of the roadway, and then some earthwork, and then utilities to follow, probably a couple weeks maybe. So that one will be starting up too. And then back on the 2018 project, maybe one item to bring up, probably Vicki will touch on it too, is the golf course. They included sanitary and water stub in the easement agreement for the ponds. And we kind of looked at locations of those, and there's kind of three options that I think we have. We can either extend the water and sanitary stubs that we provide on WHK's project all the way across to the west side of Main Street, or we can extend the stubs just south of the burial grounds, or we can extend stubs at the manhole that we provided for the Flowers property. And that one, probably the cheapest would be the Flowers property stub, and then the burial grounds will be, I ran some rough costs just a little bit ago, but we're probably looking at like, $5,000 for the Flowers property, and around $11,000 for the burial grounds option, and then about $20,000 for the WHKs, just because the distance
Okay.
is quite a bit more.
We were aware of that add-on that they did, and that was already totally flatly denied by the council, so I don't even think that's gonna be even considered. So
Okay.
you can save your time and your money on that, as far as
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
concerned, and
Yeah.
I think the council
Fine to know, but I
agrees.
think, yeah, if there's a stub going in, well, gee whiz, he wasn't getting any benefit, and now he is. Well, I think we
Right.
revisit the whole
That's something
assessment
that
thing too,
he
so.
requested, but they had already said that nothing was gonna happen, so.
So the reason we needed to talk to you about it was, as he said, that, we had the agreement on the easement, the language and the pond easement, and that whole agreement that you guys had previously approved. And so both parties had verbally agreed. The attorneys emailed back and forth and all agreed. Our attorney prepared the easement document, sent it in for signatures. It came back with a signature, but it had an added paragraph, and that's where this sewer was included. And, which is kind of goes a little bit against the premise of the whole agreement and the non-development. And so we didn't feel as staff that that was anything that we wanted to deviate from without the council's direction. If you want us to say, okay, we're fine with it, we'll just do it, fine. If you want to say, no, we had an agreement and we need to stay with that agreement, then that is fine as well. I mean, that's certainly up to you, but we felt that was a council choice and decision to make. So, and if you feel that we stay by our proposal and that that's not going to happen, then that's what I'll get back to them with.
As far as,
If you're looking
personally,
for
for-
consensus, I mean,
Yeah.
if he wants a stub now, well, that means he's developing it after all. And that changes the whole assessment structure.
Yep.
if we would do that, the only thing consideration I'd make to that if he wanted is he paid that 100%. Wouldn't be added to the project.
Yep.
Yep,
we-
I
we
agree.
If
certainly
it's
would be paying for it.
$11,000 to put a stub in, and he pays the 11,000 total.
The
He
the
pays for
What was
all
the
the work.
easement, or what was the?
The proposal was
language?
that at the city's cost and expense.
Oh, no.
Right.
Yep.
And that was,
So that's not
That's
gonna
not
happen.
gonna
that's not
happen.
gonna
No.
happen as far as I'm concerned, so,
Okay.
okay?
Just the only thing that might cause a little bit of delay as Brightbot continues construction. They're starting to grade Main Street up on the north end, so as that construction continues, drainage will kind of collect, as you know, to that pond, which is not built until the easement kind of process happens, and then they have to build a pond yet, so.
Right.
It's looking a little bit more like the road might make it first in the storm sewer to no pond, so just wanted to
Okay,
make you aware.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Pretty much cut and dried, okay? I'll now bring us to our consent agenda. We have a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $276,200.28. Paid claims of a $626.76 credit, read that as, for a total of $274,573.50. Made checks totaling $386,855.54. We have resolution number 2018-58, accepting contributions of $100 from Community Legacies Foundation to be allocated to the splash pad. We have the fun bin donated by the Sauk Center Rotary Club to be put at the splash pad. $500 from Sinclair East Apartments to be allocated for ambulance training. A 4-yard dumpster from Waste Management to be given to the street department. and $250 from Sauk Center Chamber to be allocated towards street lighting. And I want to, on behalf of the city, thank those 5 groups for their donations. We have a request from James Felling representing the Oscar Jacobson American Legion 0417 Little Sauk, has submitted an application and permit for a 2-day temporary on-sale liquor license at Stearns County Fairgrounds for August 24th and 25th for an event for the Eagles Healing Nest. The fee and certificate of insurance have been provided. We have resolution number 2018-59 approving an off-site gambling permit for the Sauk Center American Legion Post 67. The permit would allow for a raffle to be held on July 28, 2018 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. Also a request from Jeff Quistorf representing the American Legion Post 67 for a road closure for a soapbox derby on Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. And I think that's the same weekend as Sinclair Lewis Days, right?
The road closure, I suppose we should tell you where that is.
Yeah.
That's
what
up
I
by
was
the
wondering.
senior center on Birch Street. That block between 4th and 3rd on Birch Street.
Oh,
The
okay.
hill. It's
Okay.
for a soapbox derby, yeah.
Up where there's a hill, yeah.
All right. Is there any questions?
Yes,
concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
The numbers that you give for unpaid claims, paid claims in total don't match up.
Yeah, it's 275, not
Yeah.
274.
Okay,
I
yep.
saw that as well.
Okay. Good catch.
Thought that math didn't look right when I was looking at it here.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
gonna get your Christmas fund started, I think.
Any other questions or concerns on the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Well,
Well, with
with
that
one
change.
little change,
With,
yep.
that
with the
change,
change to the,
Second.
Keith, and I think Diane beat you
Yep,
to it,
okay.
so it'll be Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items?
They have one informational item, and this has to do with elections as well. We do have new equipment, and we will have new equipment for the ballot counter, and new box, and new poll books, which will be, rather than having the big book that you find your name in and sign, you're going to be signing on a tablet, and you'll be registering on a tablet, and then the machine that you put your ballot into is a scanner, so it scans, it keeps track as you go. At the end of the night, we modem or electronically transmit the results straight to Stearns County, so everything a lot quicker. It matches things up and counts so that it's supposed to be much faster and more accurate and more secure, and these are all the kinds of things. So I had my first meeting yesterday where maybe it was the day before yesterday, where we are actually talking about the training and how that's going to occur. So things will be a little different on Election Day. But the machines are on display at the county. Anybody will be able to see them. We'll be bringing them back here. The voting machine sometime in July, so we can do testing to make sure we have connectivity and we have good enough. It's on Verizon, is how it's going to work. So it's kind of exciting to have a new toy, I suppose, but it'll be a learning curve for some people, but it's as simple as swipe your driver's license and you're done. You can vote. And you don't have to be paging through books and looking for names and that type of thing, so.
Does this mean you don't have to make a trip to St. Cloud?
No, I still have to go. I still have to take, the ballots and everything have to be securely delivered. We're still voting on the same paper ballot that everyone has before.
but you'll be able to wear whatever you want.
The guidance on that is still out a little bit. That Supreme Court ruling you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't show up naked.
I'm not even sure about that.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.